All right. Excellent, excellent. This is on excellent. Thank you so much for coming. So this is going to be a whistle-stop tour through compliance and safety by design. And I can promise you that even though maybe you're like, what? Oh God, have I stumbled into the wrong workshop? Why on earth would I want to be in this boring workshop for the next 45 minutes listening to this person drone on about compliance? Oh no. But I'm going to make this as exciting and enjoyable for you as possible, and try to get some people in the room as well to share some of their experiences with this wonderful world. So, a developer's guide to compliance and safety by design. I want to know first, though, who are you guys before I tell you who I am? So, do we have any game developers and creators in the room? Oh, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, nice one. Excellent, excellent. Do we also have any parents, guardians, and trusted adults in the room? Oh, yeah, nice. Okay, excellent. So the rest of you are basically aliens, and nice to meet you. Welcome to planet Earth. So we're going to just basically go through and have a nice time together. So, I am Kay. Kay Vasey, Head of Youth and Family at KID. I've come all the way from Singapore, which is really, really far to be here. That's my 2 kids there. One of them's here. Da-dum! So he's 13, and I've got an 11-year-old. We love to game together. We do all sorts of cool stuff together. And I'm also an indie game developer, just like some of you guys in the room. So what I do, though, at KID, which is an online safety platform that helps developers to think about how could we offer safety by design and offer age-appropriate experiences into their games and online platforms. But at the same time, what I do in my spare time is I've created a game called Sky Farm Island. And I wanted to teach kids all about how to grow and eat their greens, because my 11-year-old hated vegetables, and it was really annoying. And so I was like, hang on a minute, is there a way that I might actually be able to get him to be interested in growing and all that? But it's like, but do I actually just want him to play Farmville and all those games? Why isn't there actually a game based in Asia that actually talks about what we're doing in Asia? And in Asia, we're growing to the sky. So we have vertical farms up the side of our buildings. We've even managed to grow rice, would you believe, up the side of a building in Singapore. And so this is very much where I'm coming from, right? So gaming and immersive experiences can empower youth to find their tribe, advocate for causes they care about, maybe even want to eat their vegetables. But if they don't feel safe, though, and they have to trade their privacy for access, that potential gets lost. Right? So if I'm there happily playing my little game, learning all about where Asian fruits and vegetables come from, but then suddenly someone's like, oh, hello, little child. Can I speak to you? Right? You're not going to be like, who is this toxic stranger? Maybe I'm not really enjoying myself anymore. Maybe I'm totally put off by that game, and I actually don't want to go into that game anymore. That potential for those kids to really harness the power of technology is gone and lost. So how do we keep kids safe as they're going into this wonderful world? So what I focus on is thinking through empowered parenting. So as Susanna was talking about this morning, we must think about, it's not just about the kids, it's very much around the parents. How are we actually helping them to navigate this crazy digital world? None of us have grown up in this world ourselves. I can't ask my own mum, how did you deal with my digital addiction? How did you deal with my screen time, right? It's like, I was just addicted to Sesame Street, frankly, and stuff like that. But it's like, all of the gaming stuff, she has no idea how to help me. So how do I figure it out? I'm often just kind of asking my peers. And so then we have very much a situation where it's like, I don't know, we're just blind leading the blind. What are you doing? Oh, I'm taking it all away. I'm locking it down. And then another person's like, oh, I just let them play all the time. So it's like, you're just trying to figure it out, and it's really, really hard. So are we able to offer people innovative tools that then empower those families to guide their children through this crazy digital world? The second part is around digital safety by design. So how do we give tools to developers then to then be like, oh, this is actually a really easy way that I can get my game to be compliant and I can get it to be safe by design. If I want to actually release my game in all of the different countries around the world, how do I do that? Because if I don't know the laws of Turkey, I don't know the laws of France, maybe I'll just limit my game to being in the US then. But now, with this technology, it plugs in to any game, any platform, and then delivers that safe and age-appropriate experience wherever you are in 200 markets around the world. And finally, really around thinking through inclusive online safety for all. Why do we live in this world where it's very fragmented? All of the information is in English. Often parents are faced with a wall of words of how do you figure out this digital journey that you're on with your child. So wouldn't it be really amazing, especially with the advent of AI, if you could organize the world's online safety information, make it accessible and actionable for everyone, and be like, oh, even that kid's parents in Vietnam, they're actually now able to be like, oh, this is what cyberbullying is? Does my kid also, how do I deal with this? How do I start a conversation about that? But in Vietnamese, right? So thinking through, how do we figure out, these are the things that I think about as I do my job. So why should you guys care, though, about online safety and compliance, right? So think about, first of all, there's two big buckets that I think about. Think about the potential fines, okay? Now, I don't know if you know about the landscape of these fines, but we're here, basically, back in the day, pre-2022, where there's like, ooh, $200 million being meted out to TikTok, YouTube. Fast forward to 2024, look at that massive tenfold increase, right? It is a huge, increasingly urgent need, actually, for game developers and online platforms to build with the privacy and child safety compliance baked in, not just bolted on at the end, okay? And this is affecting every single game that's played in all of those countries, right? So it's not like you're going to hide. You cannot hide. The regulators are coming, okay? So it's very much a question of like, not if, but when. So it's now the time to be like, oh, okay, you know what? I should be really thinking about this as I'm developing my game. How can I build by safety and by design? And look at these. These are just some of the headlines. I just had to pick a couple of them, but they're growing, right? So Epic Games, $520 million. Genshin Impact, $20 million. This one, Gacha, was all about loot boxes, So there's an awful lot of companies out there. And you may be saying, well, yeah, but I'm not one of these big guys. I'm a little guy, the FTC is not coming for me. The Ofcom in the UK is not coming for me. But eventually, they will, right? They will find a way, and they will meter out these fines, and it will be like, oh, I did tell you, right? So I think that there's a growing kind of trend towards this, all of these regulators saying like, we really, really need to crack down on this kind of stuff. And actually, we did give you a lot of warning. So if you're not going to actually play ball, we are going to come for you, okay? This as well. So in relation, as I mentioned it, like Ofcom as well. So they're saying, well, we can now issue sanctions. The penalties are going to reach up to 18 million or 10% of your company's global revenue, whichever is higher. Okay, so it is definitely a trend that's trending upwards in relation to sanctions. Okay, so that's the kind of fine landscape. But also, let's think about the kids. So this is the second bucket, right? The kids, every day, 175,000 children go online for the first time, right? So in the grand scheme of things, I must say that KID technology is like, well, with my 13-year-old, is it really actually designed for him? Because unfortunately, one of the first things that kids are taught to do online is lie about their age or identity, unfortunately, right? So true, right? It's like, no, you just got to get access to the game. Just say that you're 18 and all that stuff, right? So the 60% of kids are actually 8 to 12 are using those platforms despite all the restrictions, right? And unfortunately, the scale of online harms is staggering, right? Look at all these stats, right? It just makes you like, oh, really? 67% of tweens are experiencing cyberbullying, 76% of teens. It's not great. Look at all the 300 million victims of online sexual abuse and exploitation. It's not a good landscape. We have had, I always come back to this analogy where it's like, do you remember back in the day? I mean, I'm 45, I'm quite old, right? So it's like, the seat belts came out in actually the 1960s. And And it wasn't actually until the 1980s and beyond that we had seatbelt regulations to tell everyone, buckle up. Now we've had the public internet around for about 30 years, and finally we are hopefully getting to a point where it's like, hang on, we should all be buckling up for the digital age, shouldn't we? There should actually be some guardrails around what people are doing online. The internet was not made for children, and we don't want to just exclude them. We've got to build them with them in mind, okay? So we're really kind of trying to think, with KID technology, back to the 175,000 children who go online for the first time every day, are we able then to say to those parents, if you sign on with KID, you can make sure that those games and experiences that are integrated with KID are actually going to be safe and age appropriate for your child, okay? And unfortunately, as I was saying, we do have this really quite broken experience for digital youth. We've got all these compliance challenges, barriers to access, and there is therefore a massive urgent need for change. So you might be sitting there being like, so if I'm a developer though, what are the highest risk features in my game? So I'm going to take you through some of them. So, does anyone have unmoderated chat or DMs, underage data collection, lack of an age gate, any behavioral advertising, or any loot boxes inside their games in this room? Yeah, some of them, right, you know. So those are the kind of risk areas that it's like the regulators are going to be like, oh yeah, we don't like that. You shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff, right? So this is the type of stuff that we can also help with. And at the moment, our clients fall into two large buckets. So it's like, okay, to be compliant, I do need an off-the-shelf workflow to comply with things like COPPA, and we do or do not have our own parent portal. So that's at the kind of smaller end. And all the way to the larger end, we're like, I need a highly configured workflow to help me across a whole range of compliance challenges. And the cool thing is that KID does allow you to do that, okay? So we cater for the very smallest ones all the way through to the biggest ones. And this is kind of how it looks, right? So designing your workflow, you could be like, oh, I actually do need an age kit. I want to know how many, you know, what the kids are and what they're doing and how old they are, et cetera, et cetera. And now you go in to engage your parents, you go to adapt your experience. I'll come back to that in a minute. And then you can go through and verify your users, create and customize, expand your ecosystem. So we have a whole range of different kits that can plug into your game. And especially here, this is actually where the most relevant for the developers in the room. The experience literally adapts, that feature kit there adapts your experience and helps you to figure out all of these different features just at the click of a button. So you can be going in being like, oh yes, I do have loot boxes, but actually then I'm now able to be compliant in all these different countries around the world because our database then tells you, well, this is what you're allowed to do with loot boxes in Korea. This is what you're not allowed to do with loot boxes in Australia, for example, and so on and so forth. Our global compliance database monitors 200 countries around the world and is kept up in real time every single day. So, I'm going to tell you now through some KID offerings. So pay attention, there's a little quiz at the end. So you have to be very, very careful about what you're going to listen to now. Right, we have three big things, okay? So these are kind of three big features. Age assurance. So does anyone know what, like thinking through, what does age assurance mean? You think in your head like, oh, it's checking how old someone is and making sure they are really who they are, say they are, so that they get the right experience. So if my kid goes online and he's like, I'm actually gonna lie about this, you know, so it's like, well, actually I'd like you to, maybe you need to do a face scan. Maybe I need you to do your government ID check. Maybe I need you to get verified parental consent. Maybe I need you to provide your credit card to prove who you are, okay? So we have a tool that helps you to then understand who is the person in the room that's sitting and wanting to play your game, okay? Then we have feature flagging. So this lets developers turn certain apps on features on or off based on a player's location, age, or parental settings. And we believe that actually all of these things should be blocked first. So they're mostly always off until they're turned on. And they are parent managed, so totally all of the parents are able to say, oh, actually, my 13-year-old isn't digitally mature enough. Like, he just wants to give out all of his passwords and all of his details all the time, and I wish that I could just turn all of these things off. So KID allows you to actually go in and be like, all of these different features that are common across lots of these different games, I can just go in and be like, okay, text chat off, video, voice chat on, no, off. And then maybe I'm like, oh, but I wouldn't mind if he chats to his friends. Yeah, okay, I'll have those ones on. So then, also though, the technology then ages up with you. So if you're 11 when you first come in, but you're like 2 years later, you're 13, it's like, oh, I can finally have text chat, for example. Your parent will get a notification saying, oh, would you like to turn that on now across all of the games that your kid is playing? Oh, actually, yes, please. I'd love to have just one place where I can just go in and be like, okay, I'll turn that off or on across all of the different things one time. Rather than having to log into every single game that they're playing, wouldn't it be amazing if I could just do it in one place? Okay? So that is the dream, and we are working towards the dream every single day by integrating with more and more games. And the final one that I want to showcase to you is moderating chat. So chat can be fun and social, but for kids and teens, it needs to have that built-in protection. So we have all sorts of things like AI filters through our partners. We have human, there are, of course, the opportunity to have human moderators that go into your game, reporting tools and onboarding nudges. Now, you know what was really sad, right? We had a 14-year-old intern, and he went and surveyed all of his friends when he was doing his internship. And like 100% of them had told him that they had had some kind of like horrible experience online. But like 20% of them had actually gone and reported it. And they genuinely felt that there were a few things. It was like, I don't know if I'm being too sensitive, if I'm maybe kind of like, I don't know if that was actually a bully thing, but it didn't make me feel good, but I don't know, I don't want to make too much of it. So they don't even know whether or not something is a harm that needs to be reported. Second of all, they were like, I don't know, like, even if I want to report it, where do I go? I can't find the reporting thing. It's like it's hidden away, and I'm not sure. I'm not going to bother about it. And then finally, they also said even the ones that actually want to then go and report it, they're like, yeah, but I'm just going to end up talking to a bot anyway, and who's going to help me? So these kids are just feeling so bereft of like, I go online, I have to just deal with these bullies, scammers, hackers, toxic strangers. I don't know really if I get a bad time, I don't even know how to report it anyway. So wouldn't it be amazing if we had standardized reporting tools and all that kind of good stuff, right? So again, these are tools that we are working to build into games so that these types of things can become a bit more standardized and easier to manage. So think about that when you're kind of building out your games, right? So I want to share with you a little bit of research. So this is also me doing some cool stuff with 9 to 11-year-olds in Singapore. So really, really important. If you're going to design for children, you have to design with them. So we did an awesome time with 9 to 11-year-olds who are like, we asked them the question, how can we empower kids and teens to navigate online experiences safely? And so they were like, they came up with some really cool ideas. Like, if you want me to be honest about my age, then you need to incentivize me. Give me some in-game currency, and then I'll just tell you everything, no problem. So we're like, hey, you know what? Actually, that's quite a cool idea. So it's absolutely co-design in action, right? So we took that idea, and we took it to Gorilla Tag. And Gorilla Tag is one of the most popular games in VR, and we gave away free shiny rocks to those who said that they were going to be honest. And you know what? So it's like so it said incentivizing that honest and then designing for trust, so telling them at the same time why we're doing this. Why is there now an age gate when you open up Gorilla Tag and you can't just go straight in, but you want to ask, who are you, etc. How do we keep you safe? And what we reported is that 70% of those kids are actually now self-reporting, saying, oh, that's amazing, right? You know, we'd love it. We're not resting on our laurels yet either, though. We need to be, getting it higher. And 60% of the parents who've actually started the VPC flow are actually completing it, which is, again, above the market average. And it's like, okay, great, but we need that to be in the 90s. We're going to go for it, right? We need to make sure that the players feel really, really good about being safe and the parents can get through the flow. But it is an iterative process. We cannot just be like, oh, we're just going to put this technology out into the world, wave our magic wand, and it's all going to be sorted. We are iterating as we go, listening all the time to the youth and families that we're designing for. So, when we first launched KID, of course, Discord went nuts. So it's like, what is KID? What is this thing? Hang on a minute, all that. And then, so I want to show you what happened. Come on, technology. No. Play. How do we play this? We play it from here. Come on. No. Thank you. So this is a video that is captured from all of the different little Discord videos that were put out there.
KID is basically a company that is trusted by many other companies, such as Discord.
KID is a system where you basically verify your age for the game, and this will help the developers create a safe, age-appropriate experience for all players within Gorilla Tag, where some players will be offered the chance to opt in early, and these players who decide to opt in early will receive 500 Shiny Rocks as a bonus for helping out. After they're finished testing the system, it seems sign-up will be required for all players within Gorilla Tag, but you will receive a 100 Shiny Rock bonus after your sign-up is complete. Another axiom is recommending that if you're under 18, you should talk to a parent or guardian now so they can pre-approve you for the KID system.
Some of you might be wondering, why is KID trying to get my personal info? And why is KID doing all this stuff? Basically, KID is partnering with another axiom to ensure everyone, including users under the age of 13, will be able to have fun inside of Gorilla Tag.
So that was a kind of selection of some really good ones, right? And so, of course, though, thank you so much. We are not going to be, come on. No, now it won't go the other way. With my magic wand. And so it would be remiss of me, yes, there you go, to not show you as well that we cannot please everyone. KID's method sucks. Remove it now. What is this? We hate this, right? Unfortunately, back to my seatbelt analogy, would you believe that even in the 1980s and 90s, etc., when all the regulations were coming in, people were still like, what? You are removing my civil liberties to then tell me that I need to wear a bloody seatbelt, right? So it's like, we cannot please everyone, unfortunately, okay? And so we are trying our best, and as I said, always listening, iterating and building the product as we go, making sure that both the developers are happy and also the youth and families are also happy. So I would like to ask you, to share with you, how can you incorporate safety by design and stay compliant? So this is, I'm not sure, has anyone heard of this UNICEF RITEC Toolbox before? Yeah, a couple of people, yeah, amazing. So we are actually very, very fortunate to feed into this report as well. And so this is just a really simple way and a free way when you're first starting out to develop your game and thinking through, like, oh, I don't know, how should I develop this? These are some really amazing, just simple principles that you can then build in. And obviously you see there, right at the top on the left, children feel safe and kept safe while engaging in the digital play of your game. And then things going through, like they need to feel freely how they choose to engage and experience feelings of agency, choice, and freedom whilst playing. So really, this has been developed again with like hundreds of different game designers, children, and all the kind of information fed in to be like, oh, this is just a kind of way that, like a kind of framework that you can really have in your mind as you're going through. So now we're into the quiz section, so I hope you were paying attention earlier. So a question of age. What's a smart way to bridge the platform 13+ limit with countries where the digital age of consent is 16+? Do we, A, block every user under 16 globally, use age assurance and parental consent to unlock appropriate features, or C, let the user pick their own age bracket? Who thinks it's going to be A? Anyone? B? Oh, anyone C? One C? It's B! Okay, well done, you clever lot, except for you. See me later, okay? Excellent, well done. So yes, we should be using age assurance, those techniques that I told you before about maybe the face scan, the age gate, all that kind of stuff, and really bringing the parent into the picture so that the parent can go on the digital journey together with their child. We do not want to be sending the children off into the digital playground on their own. Okay, next one. Which is the best example of using feature flags for age-appropriate play? Is it A, hiding multiplayer chat until a parent approves access, requiring players to complete a level before unlocking features, or is it C, automatically disabling loot boxes for all players? Okay, who thinks it's A? Okay, some of you, excellent. B and C. Oh, excellent. Oh, you clever lot. Okay, yes, it is A, hiding multiplayer chat until parent approves access. And this one, how about playing nicely? What's one effective, youth-friendly way to manage chat safely? Is it A, letting players create their own reporting and moderation rules? B, combining AI filters, human review, and in-game education? Or is it C, just ban chat entirely? Okay, have a ponder on this one. Who thinks it might be A? Anyone? One person? B? Nice. And C, any banners in the room? Oh, yeah. Excellent. Well done, it's B. Excellent. I wish I had prizes to give out to all of you, but, so you can kind of a virtual high-five prize. Excellent. Well done. And so I want to share with you as well a little bit as we're coming to the end, coming to what is actually coming next, right? What are we also building that you can also then tap into for all of your amazing audiences as your game developers? So that is me. When I was expecting a kid, I'm like, oh my God, what to expect? What is going to come out of me? This is terrifying. And so often, what happens when you're a mum is you go into this world of these crazy things where it's like, your baby is the size of a pea, and this is what to expect now. And then, what to expect when it's all the way out, like your baby should be smiling by now or turning over and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, hang on a minute. Why is there no what to expect when they're going online, right? Why isn't there actually a guide that tells me what to expect when you give your kid your first phone? What to expect when they first go into their first multiplayer game? What to expect when you first give them voice chat? What to expect when you first give them Discord? And then they get scammed. real world life, it's terrible. So, I wish there was this a better guide. So that's what we're going to be building now, is to be like, this excellent guide that really helps parents to look at every single stage of the digital parenting journey, okay? And then I just want to kind of end with some little takeaways for you. And of course, you can ask some questions at the end if we have time. We will. So you do not have to sacrifice UX for compliance. Please always design with that trust in mind, okay? And co-designed incentives and parental engagement really, really do make a massive difference, right? Please, and I'm going to give my contact details at the end. We have already done lots of cool studies. So if you want a copy of the studies that we've done in relation to working with parents, asking kids, it's really, really important that we're all sharing this information together about how are we helping youth and families to get through this crazy digital age. And don't fear the data, right? I think a lot of the time, we are showing that compliance actually can build community and not churn. But it is not easy. We go into lots of conversations where the developers are like, I know, but I kind of want to be compliant, but I'm not very sure because I don't want the revenue to go down, and if this is going to create friction in my game, then how? And so it's like it's this constant kind of back and forth. But from where we're coming from, if you basically look after your youngest players and you give them a really good experience, they're going to keep coming back. They're going to want to be loyal to you, and that will give this lifelong affinity to your game. So look after them. So doing the right thing for kids isn't just compliance, it's smart design and good business. And therefore, remember that kids who get an age-appropriate experience in your game today are tomorrow's lifelong fans, okay? So that's what I mean. Join the KID movement towards a safer and more inclusive digital world. Well, remember what Leo was saying this morning about this word inclusive. Let's not lock them out. Let's make sure they're bought in. Let's make sure that they are actually designed in mind. So this is me. Please look me up. Let me know how I can help, and what I can share with you going forward. If you are a developer and you want to know more about how do I do this, we are, as I said, we are developing for the tiniest games all the way through to the largest games, but we can definitely help by sharing all of our experiences and all of the things that we've been doing in relation to asking people all the way along, how can we do this better? How can we do this with you at the table, okay? And that's me. So I wanted to thank you very, very much for your attention, but also ask you guys if you have any questions. There you go. Does anyone have any questions in relation to kind of like what I've been sharing, anything that didn't make any sense, or any kind of like developers who are like, Yes.
Hi, I'm Patrick from PUBG Studios. I was just interested in how do you comply with the collection of data for like the age reassurance with like the laws on privacy, and how does that all work with kids that are underage, and how all this data is managed or kept or not kept, and all these things.
So we are a very privacy-preserving company. So it's basically set up by 4 founders who are a combination of lawyers and engineers, and the CEO is Asia's ex-top privacy lawyer. So anything in relation to what the tool actually does, it really, really tries to minimize the amount of data that's actually collected. And we are also certified by the ESRB, we're COPPA compliant. So anything that you do in relation to KID, also, in a way, you can think of it as it completes the compliance picture for you. So it's like this auto plugin that's like, oh, now I have this plugin, I don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. KID will take on this kind of headache for you so that you as a game developer can be like, I can now actually not think about, oh, I have to call the lawyer in the morning because we want to launch the game in Turkey, and I have no idea what the laws are in Turkey, so I'm going to have to spend time doing that. Instead, we're like, no, we'll take away that compliance headache for you so you can spend time doing what you need to do, which is designing the best game with all of the safety features designed baked in, basically. Anybody else? Yes.
Hey, it looks like a great product. Actually, I love the branding. Kid is great. We like a free-to-play mobile game. We sadly do have loot boxes in the game, but we've kind of like we like the idea of children playing the game, but we basically, because of all the extra restrictions around it, it does require a lot of extra effort, and like we basically we're just gonna focus on adults playing the game, and but like we want to be compliant, but yeah, there is a lot of extra effort, and then the revenue, and it seems like you've gone a long way to help make it as easy as possible. I think when we're making decisions at our company, there's a lot of different trade-offs, and we added all the COPPA, not COPPA compliant, but the GDPR stuff. So there's already like a lot of data restrictions that that guy brought up. So like, for us, it's just like, how can you make it as easy as possible? And kind of like it almost could be a layer outside of the game. That would be good. It's like the parent like sets it up ahead of time, so it's not like shown direct. So we already know what their settings are like when they come in the game, instead of another pop-up or ID that we have to do when we're just trying to onboard them.
No, thank you. It makes total sense. So we are totally not in the business of saying, oh, loot boxes are bad. No. loot boxes are great because they're in your game and they work for your game. However, do we want all of the potential 11-year-olds that might be playing your game to have access to the loot boxes? No, right? So if you plug in with KID, even at the lowest level, and it's all, it's quite affordable. I think the starting point is like $500 a month. So, and I think we're hopefully going to bring that even lower for the kind of smallest developers as well. And it's like, if you could just plug that in, then we take over and we say, actually, if you're 11 and you're based in, I don't know, Singapore, then actually you're not going to be able to see those loot boxes. And that's all that happens in the game. So you can have all of the adults having all of their wonderful time as well, but then you can also have kids in your game really enjoying, but just not having access to that particular feature. So it's very clever in that sense that it kind of plugs in and then across all of these different features which are common across these games. So the text chats, the voice chats, the targeted ads, and that kind of stuff that I was sharing with you, and the loot boxes, then can be dealt with. And it means that you don't have to sit there being like, we got to get kids out of our game, we can't have them there, and you can actually include them in. And so that's the kind of ethos that we are trying to kind of get developers exactly like you to stop thinking, oh, well, we're just going to market it to adults and there are going to be no kids. Because unfortunately, the problem is kids are going to get in. Kids always find a way. So we have to design with them at the table, whether we like it or not. And I would hate for you to be like going about your merry way, and then suddenly the fine is like slapped on like, well, you should have known that there were children in your game, right? So.
Sure, yeah. I mean, and then I guess a lot of the system is probably like a bigger legislative thing. Like we're like definitely if there's like big fines or something, like if Google decides to make if Google tomorrow decided like, hey guys, loot boxes are completely banned, then, or you have to start checking, like if they're requiring all games to like use a service like yours, then you would see that getting implemented. I don't know, then you run into like each country has its own regulations. It's a really hard problem. And then as a game developer, it's like we just want to, we're competing with all these other games too, so we're just trying to like make our game as fun as possible. And then you may see your competitors aren't complying or something. So it's tricky, but I'll definitely check out the service.
Yeah, please do keep in touch. And that's the thing. It's like, we're trying to kind of come at it from a compliance is a competitive advantage, actually, right? Don't shy away from it and kind of like go la la la. It's not happening to me. That is like not the way forward. And actually kind of embracing it and kind of saying, okay, let's actually do this, and let's get there is going to be a return on investment in relation to the trust and safety that you build in. So, yes.
So I'm just trying to think through from your standpoint in the company that we know technology is going to keep advancing fast, and that bad actors will try to do what bad actors will do, and that government regulators will not be able to keep up with the speed of what's going on. So I'm would love to hear your kind of approach to knowing, the level that you set today, but the bar's moving every day. How you want to stay ahead and continue to provide that level, even if it exceeds a governmental regulation that frankly may not was developed whenever, and again, things change so quickly, even if it was developed last month, it might not be appropriate a month from now.
You're absolutely right. I think ultimately we would love a world where the governments just keep up with technology and they know exactly what to regulate, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the most important thing that where we're coming from is like we need to do this in partnership. Right? We need to have the parents at the table making sure that they are having active conversations with their children so that even if the regulations are not there, so for example, look at AI, right? Like we're about to probably experience yet another wave where we had social media come out, we had social media companies make loads and loads of money. Later we discover, there were so many harms created by, for example, Instagram or all these different services, and then they meter out a massive fine, and it's like by that point, the company's like, oh, I just find that down the back of the sofa, love. Like, it's just nothing. We just violate and pay. It's no problem. So we don't want that to happen again with, for example, AI, where unfortunately I'm reading stuff like, I'm not sure if anyone saw the news about character AI. This poor kid was like, talking to this AI, and then it told him to kill himself. right? And the mother is now suing character AI. It's like, there are no guardrails in place, right? So even with the best will in the world, if you have a service like KID is trying to be like a tool, an option that actually offers developers to like, oh, well, Ofcom is telling me, or FTC is telling me that I should be compliant. Here's now a tool I can plug in to make my game more safe and age appropriate, etc. But there's no way that we can save everyone, right? And that's the thing, and that is the kind of unfortunate, sad fact, I suppose, of life. We will not be able to save every child, but we'll try our absolute best to save as many as we can with the parents at the table.
So that leads to a follow-up question about the parents, which is when you have economically challenged neighborhoods, and parents may not have the educational background, may not even have the technology, that the school kids will have it in their school. And they don't want to fall behind their friends. So when they don't have a parent that can intercede or approve, how do you thread that needle?
So again, though, so AI can be bad, but it can be really, really good and effective too, right? So one of the things that I was talking about before was like inclusive online safety for everyone, right? And you think through, could you design a ChatGPT chatbot that basically is purely trained on the world's best online safety information, so that every single person with a mobile phone can go on and be like, and I'm in Vietnam, and I'm like, my child has, I think, been reporting some kind of bullying, something, what do I do? And instead of being like, oh, there's just a whole load of like English words, I'm actually maybe able to just speak into it, type into it, and it's gonna tell me, how do I start a conversation with my child? How do I actually approach this cyberbullying or this scamming or something that's happened, but using the power of AI to then bring together all of that amazing information, making it accessible and actionable by every single person on the planet with a mobile phone connection? So that is the kind of like the dream. And we have 9 safety NGO partners that were like, including Save the Children, that we're working on exactly that project right now to kind of hopefully build that and give it to everyone.
I'm curious how you can make sure that kids don't bypass the feature flagging thing. I don't know if that's relevant or if that's happened.
Again, we cannot make every child be completely honest. So to be very honest with you, it's like, that's why I said I wish that I could be designing for my own kids, but they're already that generation that's been taught to lie and about their age and identity the minute that they get onto the internet. So actually we have to think, how do we design better for the kids that are going on the first ever time? So if he was 5 today, and maybe like, oh, I'm gonna go into online for the first time, I as his parent would be like, you sign on with KID, and you only use games with a seatbelt on, and that's the ones that you get to choose from. And then that technology grows from when he's 5 all the way through to the digital age of consent and beyond, right? So I wish I could say to you, yeah, we've waved our magic wand and we've found a way to make every single child, tween, Gen Alpha, etc., to be totally honest about their age. I can't say that to you now with hand on heart, but we would obviously love it, and that's why we asked the kids, what's it going to take? And that's when some of them said, you need to incentivize us. But then others in the room, because we live in Singapore, were like, oh, don't leave it to the kids. We have like something called SingPass. So why isn't there a SingPass for kids, which is a government-issued ID that basically tells everyone how old I am? Others, though, when we did a recent one with 20 16-year-old boys, said, well, why don't you have like peers tell each other? So if that's my friend and he's 16, I'll tell you if he's 16 or not. So it's kind of like a kind of peer-reviewed type stuff. And that's like, oh, that's actually also quite interesting. Back in the day when you have kind of like moderated communities and all the peers actually saying, hey, that person's not good, or that person shouldn't be here, right? So it's the kids themselves, when you ask them these questions, they come up with some really awesome ideas. So we're starting to work through some of these ideas and be like, hey, we could actually try that. Let's test that and see if it works. Maybe the peer-to-peer stuff actually might be the answer, right? So again, it's not, I wish I could just wave my magic wand, but I can't yet. But I think the one step to getting there is to design with the kids if you're going to design for them, right? So, cool. And that is a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so, so much for your attention and your questions. And please keep in touch.